You have never seen reality. You have seen colors, shapes, faces, distances, objects, movement, light and darkness. And from this continuous stream of experience, you have constructed something you confidently call the world. It feels immediate and unquestionable. When you look at an apple on a table, you do not experience electromagnetic radiation, neural signals, molecular structures, or atomic interactions. You simply see an apple, red, solid, familiar. Yet the deeper you investigate that ordinary object, the more its apparent simplicity begins to collapse. Cut the apple in half, then cut those halves again. Continue beyond what your hands can accomplish, and imagine descending through cells, molecules, and atoms. Eventually, the qualities that define the apple disappear. There is no redness inside an electron, no sweetness hidden inside a proton, no smell contained within a quark. What appeared to consciousness as a unified object dissolves into structures and interactions that resemble nothing you actually experience when holding an apple. The disturbing question is therefore unavoidable. Where exactly is the apple you thought you saw? Modern science makes the problem even stranger. Your brain does not receive a finished image of reality. It receives limited sensory signals and constructs a coherent experience from them. Your eyes detect only a narrow portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. Your ears register only a limited range of frequencies, and countless physical events pass through and around your body without ever becoming conscious experience. Reality exceeds your biological window in every direction. Perhaps this is the first humiliation of consciousness. We awaken inside an existence we did not create, equipped with senses we did not choose, and assume that what those senses reveal must resemble reality itself. We are temporary creatures trying to understand something immeasurably older than ourselves, knowing that death will probably arrive long before the mystery is solved. The world you experience may be real, yet reality itself could be far stranger, colder, and more inaccessible than anything the human mind was built to perceive. Plato's allegory of the cave remains powerful because it describes a problem that never truly disappeared. Imagine prisoners who have spent their entire lives chained inside a cavern, forced to face a wall. Behind them, objects pass in front of a fire, casting shadows before their eyes. Since those shadows are all they have ever known, they mistake them for reality itself. Their world is coherent, predictable, and apparently complete. They can study the shadows, name them, compare them, and even develop theories about how they behave. Yet everything they believe is based on appearances produced by a deeper structure they cannot perceive. The uncomfortable part is how closely this resembles ordinary human experience. We trust what appears before us because we have no direct access to anything outside perception. Our senses provide a narrow and highly selective version of the physical world. We do not see ultraviolet radiation, magnetic fields, or most of the electromagnetic spectrum. We do not hear every possible frequency. We move through a universe saturated with events that never enter consciousness. The world feels complete only because the mind does not display the enormous amount of reality it fails to detect. Plato believed philosophy could lead the prisoner out of the cave, but leaving it would not be pleasant. Truth can be disorienting because it destroys the structures that once gave experience stability. A person who discovers that familiar appearances are incomplete may gain knowledge while losing certainty. This is where the allegory becomes darker. Human beings do not always desire truth as much as they desire a reality they can psychologically survive. Perhaps the cave is therefore more than a place of ignorance. It may be the condition of perception itself. Every object, every face, and every memory reaches us through biological and cognitive limits. We may spend our lives studying shadows with extraordinary precision while never realizing how much remains behind us, outside the narrow field of what a human mind can experience. Plato imagined that the prisoner could eventually escape the cave and encounter a deeper reality. But Immanuel Kant introduced a far more disturbing possibility. Perhaps there is no escape available to us. Even if every illusion were removed, every cultural assumption abandoned, and every scientific instrument perfected, we would still encounter existence through the structure of the human mind. We cannot step outside consciousness and observe reality from nowhere. Whatever appears to us has already passed through the conditions that make human experience possible. Kant distinguished between phenomena, reality as it appears to us, and the thing in itself. Whatever reality may be independently of our experience of it. Consider the apple again. You experience its color, shape, position, and duration. Yet these qualities belong to the world as it becomes available to human perception. Try imagining the apple entirely outside any possible observer. Remove color, sensation, perspective, and every condition through which it could appear. What remains? The moment you attempt to picture it, you have already transformed it into another object of consciousness. This creates a strange boundary around human knowledge. Science can reveal structures hidden from ordinary perception, and instruments can extend our senses far beyond their biological limits. But every discovery eventually returns to consciousness as measurements, images, equations, or concepts. We can describe reality with astonishing precision without ever occupying a perspective outside the machinery through which reality becomes knowable. There is something profoundly melancholic about this limitation. A human being can spend an entire lifetime searching for the ultimate nature of existence, while knowing that the final answer may remain structurally inaccessible. We awaken briefly inside an ancient universe, ask what it truly is, and disappear before receiving certainty. Perhaps some mysteries survive through ignorance, yet others may survive because consciousness itself is the veil. Reality could stand infinitely close to us, present in every atom of our bodies, while remaining forever beyond the form in which a human mind is capable of knowing it. Schopenhauer accepted much of Kant's distinction between appearance and the thing in itself, but he pushed the problem into a darker territory. For him, the world we perceive is representation, a reality organized through the relationship between subject and object. Everything you have ever encountered, from an apple to a distant star, appears within consciousness. Yet Schopenhauer believed there was something beneath this representation, something we encounter more intimately through our own existence. He called it the will, a blind, irrational, and ceaseless striving that expresses itself through life. You can recognize this force by observing your own desires. Hunger appears, you eat, and satisfaction lasts briefly before another need replaces it. You desire money, recognition, sex, security, love, or meaning, imagining that fulfillment will finally produce a stable state of completion. Yet satisfaction repeatedly decays into familiarity. What once seemed capable of changing your life becomes ordinary, and consciousness begins searching for something else. Schopenhauer saw this cycle as fundamental to suffering. We suffer when desire remains unfulfilled, experience temporary relief when it is satisfied, and eventually encounter boredom when nothing urgent remains to pursue. This makes human existence disturbingly repetitive. Much of life is spent moving toward imagined futures that lose their radiance once they become present. Childhood longs for adulthood, loneliness longs for companionship, ambition longs for success, exhaustion longs for rest. Then time consumes each achievement and demands another reason to continue. Reality from this perspective contains no obligation to satisfy us. The universe does not promise happiness, justice, or meaning, simply because consciousness desperately desires them. Nature creates organisms compelled to survive in a world where survival ultimately fails. Every animal that struggles to remain alive is participating in a battle already lost. Every human attachment contains the possibility of grief, because everything we love exists under the condition of impermanence. Perhaps the deepest cruelty is that consciousness can recognize this structure while remaining trapped inside it. We understand that desire never permanently completes us, yet the machinery of wanting continues until the organism itself finally disappears. Donald Hoffman takes the ancient suspicion that appearances deceive us and places it inside evolutionary theory. His argument begins with an uncomfortable question. Why should natural selection have designed organisms to perceive reality exactly as it is? Evolution rewards survival and reproduction, not philosophical accuracy. If a simplified representation of the environment helps an organism act more efficiently than an exhaustive representation of reality, then accuracy may become unnecessary. What matters is whether perception guides behavior successfully enough for the organism to remain alive. Hoffman compares perception to a computer interface. When you delete a file, you drag a colored icon into a trash bin. You do not see electrical voltages, transistors, or machine code. The icon conceals those structures while giving you a useful way to interact with them. Hoffman proposes that ordinary perception may function similarly. The apple you see could be less like reality revealed and more like an icon generated by consciousness, biologically useful, behaviorally meaningful, yet radically different from whatever underlying structure produces the experience. This possibility changes the meaning of everyday certainty. Solidity, color, distance, and even distinct objects may belong partly to the interface through which human beings navigate existence. Evolution had no obvious reason to burden our ancestors with metaphysical truth, when detecting food, predators, shelter, and potential mates was enough to determine survival. A beautiful sunset may therefore tell us more about the architecture of human perception than about reality independently of an observer. There is something bleak about this possibility. The same evolutionary process that gave us consciousness may also have imprisoned consciousness inside a useful fiction. We became intelligent enough to question appearances while remaining dependent on the perceptual machinery that produces them. Every attempt to look behind the interface still begins from inside the interface. Perhaps humanity's tragedy is therefore epistemological as well as biological. We evolved to survive long enough to reproduce, not to understand existence. Yet somewhere along that process, matter became conscious enough to stare into the darkness and demand an answer from a universe our senses may never have been designed to reveal. Henri Bergson believed that one of our greatest distortions of reality occurs in something so familiar that we rarely question it: time. We imagine time as a sequence of identical units arranged along a line. Seconds become minutes, minutes become hours, years accumulate behind us, and clocks transform existence into something measurable. Yet Bergson argued that this mathematical time is fundamentally different from duration, the continuous and qualitative flow through which consciousness actually experiences life. 10 minutes of pleasure and 10 minutes of grief are identical to a clock, but they can become entirely different realities to the person living through them. Consider how strange your relationship with the past already is. Your childhood no longer exists as a physical place you can revisit, yet fragments of it remain active inside you. A smell can resurrect a room that disappeared decades ago. A song can return the face of someone who is dead. Memory does not simply store the past like files in an archive. It changes the emotional texture of the present. In lived duration, moments penetrate one another. The person you were survives inside the person reading these words, even though almost everything surrounding that earlier self may have vanished. This makes time more disturbing than ordinary clocks suggest. We measure our lives as though existence were composed of separate units, while experience continuously escapes measurement. There is no instrument that can quantify how long a lonely night feels, how quickly childhood disappears, or how strangely a final conversation expands in memory after someone dies. The clock records duration without recording what duration means to consciousness. Perhaps this is why mortality feels intellectually obvious and emotionally impossible. We understand that time is passing, yet rarely experience ourselves as disappearing moment by moment. We imagine death somewhere ahead, while the process it completes is already occurring. Every second removes possibilities from the future and converts part of existence into memory. We do not merely travel through time. Time continuously transforms us into something that no longer exists, until eventually there is no future experience left in which we can remember what was lost. If Bergson questioned the time we experience internally, Albert Einstein shattered something equally fundamental in the physical world: the idea that the universe shares a single present. Ordinary experience makes this difficult to accept. You look around and assume that everything happening at this moment belongs to the same cosmic now. Somewhere stars are burning, strangers are dying, children are being born, and planets are moving through darkness, all apparently existing together in one universal present. Relativity forces us to abandon that comforting picture. In Einstein's relativity, measurements of time and simultaneity depend on the observer's state of motion. Two events judged simultaneous from one frame of reference need not be simultaneous from another. Time itself is inseparable from the structure of space-time, and its measured passage can differ between observers moving differently or experiencing different gravitational conditions. This is not philosophical speculation. Relativistic effects have been repeatedly measured, and technologies such as GPS must account for them to function accurately. The implications are stranger than the equations first suggest. There is no single cosmic clock silently advancing the entire universe from past to future. The intuitive present that feels so absolute inside your consciousness does not extend cleanly across existence. Your experience of now is local, limited, and deeply connected to your position within the physical world. This should disturb something in us. Human beings organize almost everything around time. We mourn what has passed, fear what is coming, and desperately attempt to preserve what exists now. Yet physics refuses to grant our present moment the universal status consciousness instinctively gives it. Even the light reaching your eyes is already information from the past. The sun you see is approximately 8 minutes old. Distant stars appear as they existed years, centuries, or far longer ago. Perhaps we have never seen the universe as it is right now, because such a universal moment does not exist in the way intuition demands. We inhabit a reality where even the present, the seemingly solid ground beneath experience, dissolves when examined closely enough. Carlo Rovelli pushes the problem further by questioning another assumption hidden inside ordinary perception: the idea that reality is fundamentally composed of separate things possessing definite properties entirely on their own. Human perception encourages this picture. We see a table, an apple, another person, and ourselves as distinct objects occupying different positions in space. Reality appears to be a collection of entities that already exist with their properties intact, waiting to be observed. Yet modern physics has repeatedly suggested that relationships and interactions may be more fundamental than this intuitive picture allows. Rovelli's relational approach to quantum mechanics proposes that physical properties are not necessarily absolute features belonging to objects independently of every interaction. A property can be definite relative to another physical system. Reality, in this view, begins to resemble a network of relations rather than a warehouse filled with self-contained substances. What something is cannot always be separated from what it interacts with. The apple on the table is therefore not merely an isolated object. It exists within an immense web of physical relationships involving light, gravity, temperature, surrounding matter, and the observer encountering it. This becomes existentially unsettling when applied to ourselves. The independent self feels like the most obvious fact imaginable, yet almost everything defining you exists through relationships. Your language came from other minds. Your body survives through exchanges with an environment. Your identity contains memories of people, places, and events that no longer exist. Even the atoms composing you have histories extending far beyond your birth and will continue participating in other structures after your death. Perhaps individuality is real without being absolute. A wave exists, yet it cannot be separated from the ocean that makes the wave possible. Human beings may be similarly temporary patterns within processes vastly older than themselves. We desperately defend the boundary of the self because consciousness experiences existence from one local perspective. But nature shows little respect for permanent boundaries. Matter enters us, leaves us, and eventually abandons the organization we call a person. Death may therefore be less like something being taken from the universe than a relationship dissolving. The pattern disappears. The universe keeps everything else. Edmund Husserl approached reality from a direction that seems almost too obvious until its consequences become uncomfortable. Before you can speak about atoms, stars, bodies, time, or an external universe, all of these things must somehow appear within consciousness. Whatever reality ultimately is, your only access to it occurs through experience. You can doubt an interpretation, question a memory, or discover that something you saw was an illusion. But even the discovery of error becomes another conscious experience. There is no hidden door through which you can leave awareness and inspect existence from a completely external position. Husserl therefore examined phenomena as they are given to consciousness, suspending ordinary assumptions about what exists independently outside experience. This does not mean denying the external world. It means recognizing something more fundamental. Before deciding what reality is, we must understand how anything becomes meaningful to us at all. When you see an apple, you never receive every possible aspect simultaneously. You see one side while anticipating the others. Previous experiences, expectations, and meanings participate in the object appearing as a coherent apple, rather than as an incomprehensible field of color and shape. The unsettling implication is that consciousness is never a transparent window. Experience already contains organization, perspective, and meaning. Even the supposedly objective world enters your life through this structure. The universe you know is always the universe as encountered, remembered, interpreted, and lived by a conscious being. And here the problem becomes almost mystical, without requiring anything supernatural. Consciousness itself remains profoundly strange. Matter somehow became capable of experiencing matter. The universe produced organisms that can stare at stars and know that they are staring. It produced creatures capable of grieving the dead, imagining eternity and fearing their own disappearance. Yet no one experiences consciousness from outside while remaining conscious. We inhabit the very mystery we are attempting to explain. Perhaps reality is hidden behind perception, or perhaps this distinction is already too simple. Whatever exists beyond experience, you will never encounter it without experience becoming the place where that encounter occurs. Even at the edge of death, when the world finally disappears for you, you cannot remain behind to witness its absence. Maurice Merleau-Ponty takes the problem of perception somewhere even more intimate. Consciousness does not observe reality from a neutral position, floating somewhere outside the physical world. You encounter existence through a body. Before you formulate theories about reality, before you describe objects scientifically or philosophically, you are already embodied, occupying a particular place, looking from a particular angle, and interacting with an environment through senses whose limits you never chose. The body is therefore more than another object inside your experience. It is the perspective from which experience becomes possible. This becomes obvious when we consider how radically different reality appears to different organisms. A bat navigates through echolocation, Many insects perceive wavelengths invisible to us, and other animals inhabit sensory worlds structured around capacities humans simply do not possess. There is no reason to assume that the human perceptual world represents the complete form of existence. What we casually call reality may instead be reality translated into the biological language of a particular species. The world you know is inseparable from the kind of creature you happen to be. Even your sense of scale is bodily. A room feels large because of your size. A mountain feels enormous because your body is small beside it. A lifetime feels long because human consciousness measures existence through decades rather than geological or cosmic time. Change the body radically enough, and the experienced world changes with it. Perception is therefore never innocent. Your flesh quietly determines what can become visible, threatening, desirable, distant or near. There is also something tragic in this embodiment. The same body that gives you a world guarantees that one day you will lose it. Eyes weaken, memories decay, senses fail, movement becomes difficult, and eventually the biological perspective through which reality appeared will collapse entirely. You cannot know what the world looks like without your body, because every act of looking already requires it. Perhaps death is terrifying partly for this reason. We imagine ourselves absent while secretly remaining spectators of that absence. Yet when the body that opens reality to you ceases to function, there may be no darkness to observe, no silence to hear, no emptiness to contemplate. The window does not show nothing. The window itself disappears. Anil Seth brings this journey into modern neuroscience with an idea as disturbing as it is powerful. Perception is not simply reality entering the brain through the senses. The brain must actively infer what is causing the sensory signals it receives. Light reaches the eyes, vibrations reach the ears, chemical molecules activate receptors. But none of these signals arrives carrying labels that explain what exists outside. The brain has to interpret them, combining incoming information with previous experience and expectations to generate its best model of what is happening. Seth describes perception as a kind of controlled hallucination. The phrase sounds extreme, yet the important word is controlled. Ordinary perception is constrained by sensory information coming from the world, while hallucination occurs when internally generated predictions become insufficiently constrained by that information. What you experience as reality is therefore neither pure fantasy nor a perfect copy of an external world. It is the brain's continuously updated attempt to infer the hidden causes behind its sensory signals. This helps explain why perception can fail so convincingly. Visual illusions remain persuasive even after you understand them. Dreams can feel unquestionably real while they are happening. Under unusual neurological conditions, people can experience bodies, voices, or presences that do not correspond straightforwardly to external objects. Consciousness does not provide a warning every time its model becomes inaccurate. Experience simply presents itself as reality. The darker possibility concerns the observer itself. Seth argues that the experience of being a self can also be understood through predictive processes involving the body and brain. The feeling that there is a stable you located somewhere behind your eyes may be another biological construction, extraordinarily useful for keeping an organism alive, yet less permanent and indivisible than it feels. Perhaps this is where the entire journey becomes personal. You question the apple, then space, time, matter, and perception, only to discover that the one doing the questioning may also belong to the constructed world. Reality remains outside, influencing every prediction, while consciousness inhabits its model of it. And somewhere inside that model, a temporary creature looks into the universe and mistakes the interface for the truth. Return to the apple on the table. After everything we have considered, it looks exactly as it did before. Its skin is still red, its shape remains familiar, and if you bite into it, sweetness will still appear in consciousness. Nothing has visibly changed, yet the certainty surrounding it has been damaged. You now know that color is not simply sitting on its surface, that solidity conceals structures your senses cannot perceive, and that the object appearing before you is inseparable from the biological machinery through which it becomes experience. The apple remains there, but the simplicity of the apple is gone. Perhaps the same is true of everything else. The room around you, the body you inhabit, the passage of time, and even the self. Silently reading these words may be less absolute than they appear. We evolved inside reality rather than outside it, and every attempt to understand existence is performed by a fragment of existence examining the conditions of its own appearance. There is something almost spiritual in that paradox, though it offers little comfort. The universe became capable of questioning itself through creatures destined to disappear before the questioning is finished. One day, your final perception will occur. There will be a last face you recognize, a last sound you hear, a last sensation produced by the nervous system that has constructed your world since infancy. Everything you ever called reality will then vanish from your perspective. The stars may continue burning, oceans will continue moving, strangers will wake into ordinary mornings, and existence will proceed without requiring your awareness. Maybe reality was never obligated to reveal itself to us. Maybe truth exceeds the instrument's evolution placed inside our skulls. We spend our brief lives opening doors only to discover deeper corridors, replacing one mystery with another. Yet perhaps there is dignity in looking anyway. For a moment, matter became conscious, looked into the darkness surrounding its own existence, and asked what was there. The darkness never answered, and still, we kept looking. If this journey made you question reality, there are over 100 exclusive videos waiting for channel members, and right now, you can try membership free for 1 month. If you want to support this work even further, you can also use super thanks. But truly, just watching, staying with us, and sharing these videos already helps more than you know. Thank you for being part of this.